This is John Armwood, and I'm back once again on the Armwood Opinion Channel. I haven't been on for a while. The last time I was here was on March 29th. So today is what, the 18th, I believe? Yes, so about 18 days ago. And at the time I was talking about the coronavirus and my concern about the treatment of blacks, Hispanics, and other minorities, particularly Chinese, in the hospitals, given the overtly racist pattern of healthcare in the United States, and the fact that the President of the United States had called the disease the Chinese disease. And Donald Trump had defended that statement when questioned about it to the press. And I mean, it was extremely racist. But Donald Trump has known to make racist comments about blacks and African-American countries, calling them S-hole countries, and talked about Mexicans as thieves and thugs and rapists and other kinds of criminals. So we know who Donald Trump is. And our concern, or my concern at the time, was in his followers working in hospitals. Since then, the following week, he came out that African Americans were dying at a rate more than twice that of whites as a result of the disease, which, of course, to most of us who have African Americans descent, was not surprising. We expected this. And that's continued to be the case. New York has been the hardest hit area, and African Americans and then Latinx have been the next hardest group. The business community and many politicians have not taken this crisis seriously. Donald Trump initially talked about reopening the country by Easter and having the churches filled. This was back in the beginning of March. I mean, it was a totally absurd statement. I mean, it didn't take a high school education for someone to realize that this was impossible. Then you had people, even educators, talking about opening the schools by May or June. This is idiotic. This virus is going to take a long time to resolve itself. And it's not going to resolve itself without strong efforts. The countries that have really handled this disease well, countries like the Republic of Korea, which Americans incorrectly call South Korea, and the Republic of China, that we call Taiwan, and Taiwanese do call it Taiwan. These countries did the right things. What America has failed to do. Number one, test. And we've started doing some testing, but nowhere to the degree that we need to, given our population of 230 million people. We need to test people widely to find out, number one, who has the virus, and number two, who the people that had the virus have been in physical proximity to. Who have they been close to find out who they may have transmitted the disease. Because if we don't find out these two groups of people, we will not be able to stop the spread of the virus. We need to quarantine those two groups to keep the virus from spreading. This is what the scientists, the doctors have all said. Unless we do that and we open back up, we're going to increase the presence of the virus in the general population and spread it. It's not rocket science. It's not complicated. We have to contain the virus, treat those who are sick. Those, hopefully, a large number of them will recover. We have to work at getting a cure for the virus and ways to manage it until such time we have a cure for the virus. But we have got to stop the spread. Opening the country back up is just plain dumb. It's wishful thinking. I know politicians don't want to scare the public, but this is not going to end by June, July, August, September, or into the fall. It probably will go on to 2021. Life as we have known it is not going to return anytime soon, if ever. Things are different now. And it's time that we, the American people, wake up. We have a governor in the state of Georgia who opened the beach on Tybee Island. The mayor of Tybee went crazy in anger at this stupid move. The governor of the state of Florida wanted to keep the beaches open. The governor of Texas has set an early timetable for opening up Texas. I mean, this is crazy. Trump asserted that he had the power to make this decision, which, I'm taught constitutional law. He clearly does not. This is a state issue. The governors have that power. The president does not. He subsequently backtracked a little bit from that statement and said that, that he would advise the governors because he does not have that power. Trump does not understand his powers and doesn't understand his role. All he sees himself as a TV celebrity president who wants to look good on television so he can get reelected, but wants to take no responsibility for his actions. And his actions, his failure to act, is what has caused this situation to get bad. He called the virus a hoax. He said it would go away in 15 days. Then, of course, I mentioned earlier about the remark about the churches being full on Easter Sunday, April 16th. This is not what leadership is. We have seen leadership from governors. Andrew Cuomo of New York, who politically I have disagreed with on many, many issues. Even though we both are Democrats, I have disagreed with him, but he has shown leadership on this issue. This is what we need right now. We need leadership because we're not getting any for the White House. And the problem is that this is a national problem. People move in America from states to states. There are no restrictions. That's part of our constitutional rights, are the ability to move from state to state. So we need a uniform policy that is national. We need the president to give us very strong advice as to how he sees the states handling it, and this advice needs to be given based on science. He needs to be a leader who calls on Americans the way Franklin Delano Roosevelt did in the 20th century during World War II. We don't need somebody claiming they're in charge when they're not, and we don't need somebody who is going to duck blame for their obvious mistakes. We need leadership. And unfortunately, before January 1st, we're not going to have a leader. Trump is not a leader. Pence is not a leader. We need real leadership. Hopefully, the American people realize this in November and elect Joe Biden, and hopefully Joe Biden is up to the task. Because right now, this is a major crisis in America, and we are moving through this crisis in a rudderless way. America is not acting like the leading power in the world. In fact, on this crisis, we have been way down the list. Italy had a tremendously poor start, but it turned itself around very quickly, and it's moving in the right direction. America, we've had states like New York and Washington where they have turned themselves around, but there's no national policy that is consistent with what the scientists and doctors are saying. That is the problem. We have fools in Virginia and Michigan demonstrating with the support of President Trump to open the country back up now. This is insanity. I mean, Nate Silver said that Trump supporters tended to be uneducated. The correlation was education. It wasn't wealth between who voted for Trump and who did not. It didn't matter whether you were wealthy or poor. It had to do with your level of education. And if you saw the folks on TV calling for the country to open up, they were not well-educated people. They were not articulate people. They didn't appear to be intelligent people. We need leadership from leaders who are intelligent, who are well-educated, and who believe in science. That's the key. We need people who will follow the science of this issue. And I'm going to leave it at that. You have a good day. Let us hope, pray, meditate upon the country coming together and doing the right thing. We need to motivate the collective subconscious of our country to move towards following the science in this issue and not the stupidity of Donald Trump. Remember, resistance is not futile. We need to resist the coronavirus and those who are leading us down a path which will cause the virus to spread further. Resistance is not futile. Have a good day.